Hello everyone, it's me Pavlo, and today, besides your daily dose of Ukrainian accent, I brought a story about beautiful, interesting headphones. It's FiiO's new closed-back model FT13. They build it on top of their FT1, and if you are interested in technical details, I will add a link to the official site in the description. On the main page of FT13, they describing in tons of details how they built on top of FT1, improving every single aspect. The most interesting fact for us is that it uses pretty similar 60mm dynamic driver, but with different diaphragm material and topology. And of course, FiiO changed design, changed internal sound treatment, so basically improved every single aspect. Price is $300, and besides the great look, this model offers a noticeably red-wicked sound. So let's have a closer look. As you can see, box looks really great. It's pretty big, not huge, but on the bigger side of things. Purely black with pleasant texture and of course great polygraphy, typical for many FiiO products. As usual, not much information on the box, and inside we are getting this storage case and a pair of extra ear pads. So attached to the headphones are leather ear pads, but also you get a pair of suede ear pads, and you can easily swap them, getting different sound. Nice case, looks also really great. And inside you'll get headphones themselves, you'll get stock cable with replaceable jack, and also a bit of extra accessories here. So you'll get 6.3mm adapter, Pentagon adapter, and here most likely single-ended jack, but it's held with rubber and not that easy to get out, but yes, it's a 3.5mm replaceable jack. So as you can see, presentation and accessories are really great. Of course, these headphones are eye-catching. These big caps made of varnished purple wood grabs attention, and in real life they look even better than on photos. I'm not sure if camera managed to give this impression, but in real life they look great. And you can see they even matched texture of the wood to the design of the caps, because these concentric circles really looks like they should be here. And headband is pretty similar to other FiiO models. There were a lot of complaints on some bolts that hold the yokes in the FiiO FT1, and for the FT13, FiiO said that they changed their QC approach and they changed design of the connection here as well. So headband on top it's leather, but inner part actually is some kind of suede-like material. It's pretty wide and padded with some soft foam inside, so it's created to distribute weight and to protect you from overheating on top of your head if you have really short hair or if you are bald. So it's really comfortable and it distributes weight really well, but actually headphones are pretty light, so there is not so much metal in the design, and that probably helps them to be really comfortable in wearing. FiiO decided to not make clamping force hard here. Probably it's because their idea, it's just my guess of course, that these headphones are still mainly for home use, not for some noisy street or environment like that. From one hand, they are not super pushing and not providing maximum passive sound isolation, but on the other hand, they are pretty comfortable in wearing. Also, headband is actually pretty big. On my average sized head, Basically, I use them at 0 position here. And not sure about smaller heads, but probably they will be fitting nicely onto large heads for sure, because they have a lot of adjustment here. And also I like that they provide this clicky mechanism, so you can be sure that you selected proper size on both ends. Cups have 2 degrees of rotation, and with these angled ear pads I'm getting pretty good seal. As you can see, the cups are really slightly open here on top to provide better ventilation and to probably improve the sound tuning. So in terms of sound isolation, they are pretty okay. Not too much of your music goes outside, and also outer noise is not penetrating them that much as with open back headphones, but it's not the most isolated model anyway. And you can see that ear pads are angled, and they're made of protein leather, and to disconnect them you need just to pull them. Of course, you need to do that firmly but accurate. Really easy to disconnect, but at the same time they hold well. So if I grab it, let's do measurements and measure the size. We can do it pretty confidently here. So 63 millimeters and roughly 48 millimeters. And let's measure depth. Of course, it's just a rough measurement, 22 millimeters. So pretty normal size for vast majority of ears. My ears fitting really well into these ear pads, and I'm comfortable with wearing these headphones. When you attach them back, pay attention that they have 2 additional bumps at the top connector to provide you with an idea of how to orient them properly. Put them back, just few clicks, and they attach. If these headphones will become popular, I am pretty sure that we'll have a lot of third-party options. As usual, for closed-back headphones, your ears will be overheating, but not as much as with models with fully closed cups. Here are cable connectors. Cable here uses regular 3.5 millimeter jacks. They go nicely into their places with decent click and hold there really well. It became like standard option for connecting, and the stock cable is really nice. It looks great, it feels great, almost zero microphonics. And here you get this replaceable connector, so you can unscrew it and then change connector to whatever you need, then attach it back. As usual, pay attention at notch and groove, and then just screw it back and you all set. So overall, in terms of design and wearing comfort, I've got no issues, and design of course is great. There is a bit of confusion with this model index because it's not a new version of FiiO's FT3, it's more like upgraded version of FiiO FT1. Probably FiiO should select different letters for open and closed back headphones, because some people perceive this model as a continuation of FT3, which it's not. But it's a bit too late to address this, and taking into account that they also have Pro, FT1 Pro, and it's making everything is even further complicated. But I think they will solve this complication in future, changing indexing schema a little bit. They did this in the past and will do that in the future, because they expanding their lineup, and of course they can't accommodate all models in advance. So, in terms of sound, we getting here improved version of FT1 with better technicalities, improved stage, and more forward treble. There are two sound signatures with leather earpads. You getting slightly boosted bass and treble, or not so slightly, but less than with sewed earpads. With sewed, you getting noticeable bass boost and also treble amount of energy put into treble, also getting noticeable bump to accommodate this bass. So in terms of sound, I prefer leather pads much more because I'm not a fan of super fun sound signature, but some people definitely will like it. So bass goes to a nice depth, it has a decent resolution, of course not super resolving and not as clear and transparent as open back headphones can offer, but at the same time there is almost no that boominess, no excessive weight put into the sound or something like that. They have U-shaped resonator inside of these cups, and probably it does its job because bass response is pretty well controlled and stays at place. Amount of small nuances is not huge, but it's enough to make instruments sound pretty realistic. And despite of additional weight put into the bass, you're not getting that effect of instruments being pushed forward. Overall, bass is balancing pretty nice between rumble and impact and weight. It's not super punchy and fast, but at the same time, when necessary, you get a nice amount of that deep rumble. But at the same time, main accent is put at the mid bass, which, in my opinion, makes it more natural and better suiting real instruments. And first example, it's Can't Kill Us by the Glitch Mob. Nice bass line, not overly dominating, but enough to give you immersion into this track, because of course this music is built on the bass foundation. Maybe it's not headphones for bass heads, but you get sewed earpads if you want that. And Nature Boy by Casey Abrams, it's an example of pretty good representation of the acoustic double bass. Of course, compared to some planar and open back models, you're lacking a bit of finesse, but at the same time, you're getting this sense of real instruments, body resonance, and also thanks to that good control over bass, it stays on its place and not bleeding onto mids. Mids are slightly recessed compared to bass, but not too much, and thanks to good resolution, they doesn't sound veiled, or they doesn't sound like put behind of the bass and treble. Actually, in terms of technicality, it's pretty good with nice amount of airness and micro details, but at the same time they're not overly boosted and not overly highlighting. Headphones not super forgiving in terms of quality of recording, but at the same time they also don't boost issues too much. So it's like with better material you getting better results, but if you have something not perfect in your media library, it will be okay. Another good thing, they built a really nice sound stage for the closed back headphones. It's above average, especially in width. Depth is smaller than width, but depth layering is also nice. Of course, open back models will give you bigger stage, but at the same time, it's a matter of trade-offs and compromises. And the first example, it's Friendship by Camel, really nice symphonic poem or progressive rock masterpiece, art rock masterpiece. Lot of different instruments, great catchy tune, and you getting a nice sense of immersion into this track thanks to the good balance of technicality and macro dynamics of the sound. They are pretty good in terms of macro things, and also display emotions really well. And nicely built stage. And Dollar Days by David Bowie, vocal is slightly highlighted because of that emotions, and you getting really like shivers on down your spine because of understanding of what is hidden behind this album, and you really getting immersed into this track emotionally and musically. And the treble, probably the most controversial part of these headphones, especially if you are young, if you have like perfect hearing up to 20 kilohertz, they can be slightly, or maybe not so slightly, harsh for you. For people older than 30 years and closer to 40, probably it won't be an issue, because for me, amount of treble here is pretty nice, and I like the tuning of treble here. It's slightly uneven, but it's uneven in the like in a good way, because they have a deep around 4 kilohertz area that I don't like. And because of that, actually, they don't sound too fatiguing and too sibilant to my ears. Extension is slightly above average, which is pretty good for closed back headphones. Layering is really basic, but it's also a decent result, and this overtone saturation is nice. Probably I'd prefer a bit slower attacks and decays, because they are a bit on the faster side of things, meaning that treble is slightly airy and lightweight, but it's a matter of subjective preferences here. So treble is energetic. For me it's okay, but for you it can depend on your sensitivity for the high frequencies. And probably it also depends on the fit of these headphones on your head. I didn't have any issues, but please remember that everything is subjective. So, first example, it's Seven Sons of a Seven Son, and that's actually the track where that I like this 4 kilohertz deep, because without it, it will sound harsh even to my ears. And that S in the chorus actually can sound really penetrating, and not an issue with these headphones. I turned on this track thinking that I will be unpleasantly surprised with the sharpness of sibilance, but it didn't happen. But of course, still percussion is slightly forward and highlighted. And Charles Mingus, Bird Calls, complicated jazz track that requires great treble performance and requires much more expensive and open back headphones to sound at 100%, but still, for me, pretty natural and airy, maybe sometimes slightly oversaturated in terms of treble, but by my subjective measure, still pretty okay sounding. When it comes to pairings, FT13 are not tough to drive. They have 32 ohms of impedance, and if I remember correctly, 98 decibels per milliwatt of sensitivity, which is not power hungry, but at the same time they require slightly above the amount that regular smartphones and tablets and laptops can provide. So some dongle deck will be a great addition for them, but luckily FiiO have a lot of options to offer. I reviewed a lot of them, and many of that dongles will be great with these headphones. Or of course you can use some portable player, and they will benefit from something above the basic level, but they don't require some super powerful player or source at the same time. Speaking about the conversions, actually first model to be named here is FiiO FT1, and here we come to your treble sensitivity. If you're sensitive to the high frequencies, maybe it can be not an upgrade for you. But if you're not super sensitive and if your preferences matches mine, then FT13 is definitely an upgrade. You're getting more technical mids, slightly better controlled bass, and more airy, more present treble that gives you better airness and better overall overtone representation. Or tons of excessive harshness, matter of preferences here. Maiden 99 Classics, new revisions of this model, actually they are slightly tighter on the bass, but at the same time their bass is slightly boomier. So a bit more weight and a bit less of small nuances. And at the treble area, probably I like 99 Classics a bit more, but I like FT13 more on the mids because they providing slightly better dynamics and emotion representation. FT3 actually no sense in comparing them with FT13 because open back versus closed back, not much sense in doing this comparison overall. And if you're looking for some closed back headphones without that much treble, actually you can pay your attention at Sivga models. They have more natural types of tuning overall. So really interesting headphones with stunning look, and in terms of sound, I like them, but of course I can't say that everyone will like them, but I definitely recommend you to try them. So thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a great day.